If there was no pre-existing hatred, the CCP would create it.
Can a drug be political?
The only pandemic we have is among the unvaccinated.
There was censorship of anybody sort of discussing this as a possible cure, including YouTube eliminating Senate testimony by a doctor named Pierre Corey, who was advocating for it.
Total invasion, and people in every state are going to die through a combination of people coming in illegally with COVID, with the fentanyl drugs that are setting an all-time record, and the criminals that are crossing the border.
And they're killing people.
I should have gotten the vaccine. Those are the words sent in a text from a young Las Vegas man to his fiancée from his hospital bed. He died days later of COVID.
Average citizen, if there is such an animal, of course, does not like the system because it hurts, it kills, and of course brings economical inefficiency. But I doubt very much there are many people who are conscientiously supporting that system.
Many landlords were beaten to death during these communist struggle sessions. To justify the killing, the CCP first had to make sure Chinese society held widespread hatred toward landlords.
People should probably watch this video as quickly as they can. Well,
Yeah.
You can't talk about ivermectin,
Right.
but maybe you can talk on a meta level.
Why would people who have recovered from COVID and have active antibodies and are therefore immune, they have natural immunity?
I talked about these incidents where there are people in hospitals who are suing their hospitals to allow them to treat with that ivermectin.
Why would they be forced to take an experimental vaccine to give them artificial immunity?
Yeah, there's no science behind it. All of the studies that have looked at natural immunity show that natural immunity has at least as good of immunity as you get from a vaccine.
You should at least be able to tell those stories and explore what happened. But it's become dangerous to do it.
But because they are unfree to think, they're in constant fear, duplicity, split personality, and this is the greatest tragedy for my nation.
It's just completely hostage to this politics of decadence, where all we get caught up in is these stupid meta conversations about censorship.
If there was no pre-existing hatred, the CCP would create it.
Is COVID-19 going to magically disappear, Dr. Fauci?
I do not believe it would disappear because it's such a highly transmissible virus. It is unlikely that it's going to disappear.
The vaccine doesn't make you impervious to infection. And if you live in a high prevalence area, the advice I've been giving people is that if you're taking care of young children or other people who might be vulnerable, you should be mindful that even if you're vaccinated, if you're in contact with the virus, there is a risk that you can contract the virus. And with a much more transmissible strain like Delta, where you develop high viral levels early in the course of the infection, there's probably also a risk that you could transmit the virus.
2 through 5. For consider your calling, brethren, that there were not many wise according to the flesh, not many mighty, not many noble. But God has chosen the foolish things of the world to shame the wise, and God has chosen the weak things of the world to shame the things which are strong, and the base things of the world, and the despised God has chosen, the things that are not, so that he may nullify the things that are, so that no man may boast before God. But by his doing you are in Christ Jesus, who became to us wisdom from God, and righteousness and sanctification and redemption. So that, just as it is written, let him who boasts, boast in the Lord.